Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another episode of Just Another Talk. On this episode, we're going to be watching this You Didn't Earn That Career, Your Daddy Did. I spoke about this a couple videos ago about kind of the nepotism and really the idea of what nowadays is considered the upper echelons of society, right? The rich folks. And I compared it to the French Revolution and Marie Antoinette. And I came across this video by Moon, and boy, this might be confirmation bias, but I'll take it because this is exactly what I was pointing to in the previous videos I've talked about this. So without further ado, let's jump right on it.
Talent and hard work used to give you a chance in the entertainment industry. Today, it's just a rotting aristocracy. A tight-knit club where superstar parents hand fame and fortune down to their spoiled children. When as Daniel Mack asked Brooklyn Beckham what he did for a living, he said this.
I'm a chef.
You're a chef? Yeah. Really? Are you like the best chef in the world?
In Brooklyn's case, being a professional chef worthy of a multi-million-dollar supercar mostly looks like making sandwiches. In this case, an English breakfast sandwich, which as you might guess, is basically bacon, egg, and ketchup.
Bacon and then the egg.
Okay.
Moon's over Miami.
Yeah.
This guy.
No, wait.
I was making this shit at like 7 years old, bro.
What about the ketchup?
Ketchup.
Oh,
Very nice.
The ketchup.
that's a good touch.
Right on top of the
Yeah,
egg.
it actually, it's great.
Everyone reacted with a mix of laughter and outrage.
Right.
And he didn't redeem himself when he fried chicken in a couple of inches of expensive avocado oil. Or when he made what he calls squish burgers that basically look like regular cheeseburgers that anyone could cook in minutes with zero experience.
I call it a squish burger.
A squish burger! It sounds so fun!
His
Oh my god, it sounds so fun. Like, bro, no, you're David Beckham's kid making 7-year-old cuisines in the kitchen, okay? Maybe 12 years old. 7 years old might be early to start using the stove, but by 12, you should be cooking your own meals. I know I was.
photography was also blasted for him, claiming that elephants were hard to shoot, despite them being massive and nearly always brilliantly well lit. Facts that photographers immediately lambasted him for. Apple Martin, daughter of Gwyneth Paltrow and Coldplay's Chris Martin, is following the exact same journey. She's been handed opportunity after opportunity, and despite messing up lots of them, she'll never have to worry about whether she'll get a second chance. Despite still
wonder
attending
why.
college, the 21-year-old was recently made the face of fashion brand self-portrait. Many questioned her ability to head a fashion campaign without any real experience whatsoever. She posted this to tell everyone the news.
It is me, Miss Apple Blythe Allison Martha, coming to you from the floor in a gorge self-portrait, little baby tee, and these cute ass earrings.
But don't worry, this massive deal is obviously just a foot in the door. Unfortunately, the apple does fall far from the tree in this case. Before the modeling gigs, Apple tried her hand at singing too, although it wasn't all that well received.
Oh boy. Oh god.
Most people who know they aren't great singers don't perform concerts outside of karaoke nights because the people around them have the goodwill to tell them before they embarrass themselves. But instead, the children of these entertainment dynasties are pushed into the spotlight regardless. Like Lily Rose Depp, the daughter of Johnny Depp and supermodel Vanessa Paradis, who's been the face of Chanel for the past 10 years. She's also picked up roles in films and shows, from indie horror to Hollywood blockbusters to massive Netflix vehicles. The reception has been mixed, to put it charitably. The Idol, her big HBO show, was panned as one of the worst programs ever made and cancelled after a single season. But when confronted about nepotism in an interview, Lily came up with this. If somebody's mum or dad is a doctor and then the kid becomes a doctor, you're not going to be like, well, you're only a doctor because your parent is a doctor. It's like, no, I went to medical school and trained. Doctors.
Yeah, but there's the see, these comparisons, and I know Moon's not making the comparison, he's just reading the article, but the comparison is ridiculous. Like, come on. Being an actor and being a doctor, two very different things, okay? Having a famous parent can propel you and put you in front of people who will give you the chance of being an actor, okay? Having a famous parent and you becoming a doctor doesn't help you outside of the money aspect that it costs to go to medical school, because you still have to learn the information. You still have to pass tests, right? Acting isn't like that.
pass exams, doctors spend a decade in training, doctors get paid based on whether they can keep people alive.
Right.
Lily Rose has
They
never
also can get
auditioned for
fired.
anything the way a normal actor does. The parts just find her. And the article itself gives the game away. All throughout the webpage, you've got glamour shots of Lily wearing various Chanel accessories with price tags listed right underneath them. One picture lists her rings at $600 each. You can't even see the rings in the photo. They're literally just a price tag next to her face. And the stakes only get higher from here. Apple and Lily Rose Depp got handed fashion campaigns. 24-year-old Ashana Knight got handed $30 million. Her directorial debut, The Watchers, wasn't just made with her father's help, it was literally self-financed by her dad and then sold on to Warner Bros. For $30 million. Reviews didn't pull any punches, with the Globe and Mail titled theirs I See Nepo Baby People. Lupa went with only nepotism could have gotten this film made, and another called it a Nepo nightmare. And here's M. Night himself describing the family dynamic.
All my daughters and I speak through the language of discipline, artistry. When they think of their dad, they're thinking about a guy who I find art sacred, and we can't approach it with anything but the highest form of discipline, you know? So they're used to this from like 4 years old, having these conversations.
You can have as much discipline as you want. If your creative mentality is ass, all of your productions are going to be horrible. It's really that simple.
Noble way of saying I turned my house into a film school for my children, funded their debuts and cast them in my movies and called it artistry. And incredibly, that's not even the whole story. The same summer The Watchers came out, M. Night released another film called Trap, a psychological thriller about a serial killer attending a pop concert. Starring as the pop star was his other daughter. She had never acted in a feature film before, but to her credit, she was actually pretty decent. Although here we have two daughters with two film careers launched in the same summer, both powered entirely by daddy's money and daddy's name. The sisters even worked on the film simultaneously on the family's Pennsylvania estate. Saleka in her recording studio is Shauna mixing her film next door. And these aren't the only ones running the family film studio. Jason Momoa has been open about his son landing the child role in the next June film. Nakawa Wolf, now 14, has done virtually no acting. But that didn't stop him getting cast in one of the biggest sci-fi franchises on Earth, playing the son of one of its lead characters. In one interview, Momoa gushed about his son earning the role.
This kid, what the hell? I'm like, no, you can't act. No, you're not gonna be in this interview. No. And then he did it on his own. Listen, he's gonna be way better than I have ever been. So I'm like, that's what you want for your children? He will be. He'll be a force.
And
in all fairness, he's probably just trying to help out his kid, and I also understand that to an extent. The access that you have allows him to get into certain rooms, and again, like I was saying, there's nothing wrong with that, because every parent wants their kid to be better than them, or at least most parents, I should say. Maybe not all parents, but most parents want their kid to be better than them. And if they are able to pave a way where it might make it a bit easier for your child, I'm pretty sure parents will.
Another, he said this.
Yeah, he's into the workforce for the first time, so yeah, it's gonna be good. He did it on his own. I didn't want to help him, and he's done it on his own, and good for him.
Yeah, I don't know if I believe that.
You want your children to be better than you, and I really actually believe he is.
It's really an insane take. There's absolutely no way he just happened to be chosen without a little bit of influence from his dad. Whether Jason really believes this is questionable. He's probably just saying it for his own son's benefit, although it's really hard to see how that would actually help him. Even the indie world is Nepo infested. Destru Spielberg's career reads like lots of Nepo careers. First she tried her hand at modeling, then acting, then some production work on film sets when that didn't work out. Finally, she just went for the family business properly and started directing. For this, she was handed control of a supposedly indie horror film, although the budget eventually surpassed $4 million.
Jesus.
It then bombed catastrophically, with reviewers citing weak direction as a fatal flaw. Destry could probably buy another try if she wanted, although it doesn't seem like she has any plans to. Zoom out, and the real story isn't any one Nepo baby, it's the dynasties. Entire families running Hollywood like a hereditary monarchy. Passing fame down the bloodline regardless of whether anyone at the bottom can even do the job. Nowhere is this clearer than with the Kardashian Jenners, who
boy.
exploded onto the
Here
scene
we
off
go.
of the back of Kim's sex tape, and have spent the past 20 years since building the purest nepotism machine in entertainment. Kids turn into brands, brands turned into billion-dollar product lines, all powered by inherited fame and a limitless appetite for self-promotion. You might think that given how obvious the setup is, they'd at least be self-aware about it. But listen to Kim lecturing people to work harder to get where they want to be. She says she works in retail and somehow it was her actual hard work that saw her reach fame and not her sex tape.
Yeah,
You have to work
okay,
hard.
Kim.
You have to put your pride aside and not think you're going to come in. I mean, I worked in retail and
This is a lie undone by her own words. Talking to Oprah, she admitted this about her fame.
Would you be where you are had there not been a sex tape?
No, you just be another pretty little face they're gonna pass around in Hollywood.
You know, I think that's how I was definitely introduced to the world. So I'd like to think that I'm, you know, aware. I'm not naive to that fact that that's pretty much how I was introduced to the world.
This cognitive dissonance was obviously inherited by Kendall, who said this.
I like presented the cutest like little modeling book to my mom when I was like 14, and then she did her Kris Jenner things and made it all come to life.
She's casually admitting one of the most powerful brokers in entertainment orchestrated her entire career, in the same breath as insisting she earned it. But somehow in Kendall's mind, the two aren't in conflict at all.
You know, everyone around me, whether it's friends or family, knows how hard I worked and still work as a model. I went to every single casting and ran all over not only New York City, but all over Europe trying to, you know, get a job.
The work she's describing is running around Europe attending fashion castings.
Private cars, fancy dinners. Okay. All right. Come on now. Come on. It's nepotism at its finest.
Something completely unthinkable for anyone who isn't already rich. Most aspiring models can't afford the flight, let alone the hotel. But it gets better.
Of course, I had a platform, and I never took that for granted. I always knew that that was there, but that almost made my job a little bit harder, only because people, you know, probably didn't want to hire me because I was on a reality TV show.
The highest paid supermodel in the world is claiming her global fame, her literal platform of hundreds of millions, made her career harder. That being famous was, if anything, a handicap. Then came the Pepsi ad. Picture the room where this was pitched. A billionaire supermodel leaving a photo shoot walks up to a riot line of police and hands one of them a can of soda. Cue cheering, cue unity, cue the dissolving of America's deepest social divides. It got torn apart for what it was, and Pepsi pulled the ad within 24 hours. The Nepo delusion now feels like the shared language of every major entertainment dynasty. Back in the UK, Victoria Beckham spent years insisting that she came from a normal working class background, until in the 2023 Netflix documentary, David overheard her say it and wandered in from the next room.
We're very working class.
Be honest.
I am being honest. Alright, it's not a simple answer because...
What did you get your dad to drive?
It depends.
No.
Okay, in the 80s my dad had a Rolls Royce.
Oh my God. My dad had a Rolls Royce in the 80s. Okay. But you came from a working class family. I don't think I've ever met anybody who's working class who their dad had a Rolls Royce. So out of touch, it's not even funny. The reason that these folks always resort to downplaying what they came from isn't because it's inherently bad. It's because stories sound better when you came from nothing or when you were the underdog and achieved so much.
The clip became a meme within hours. It's always hard work, always destiny, always a normal upbringing, never the Rolls Royce. Brooklyn's brother Romeo didn't become a chef specializing in sandwiches, but instead tried for years to become a football player. Released from Arsenal's academy only to turn up in the reserve team of Inter Miami, the MLS club his father co-owns. He came on as a late substitute in a 6-0 friendly loss to Barcelona, a cameo so obviously stage managed that even the press barely bothered covering it. But if the Beckhams show you how a dynasty is built, the Smiths show you what happens when it goes off the rails. In 2013, Will Smith built an entire $130 million movie around his son Jaden. After Earth was a sci-fi vanity project with Will as the father figure and Jaden as the young protagonist who'd carry the film. It was panned by critics, bombed at the box office, and won Jaden a Razzie for the worst actor.
That's funny. Look, I watched this movie and I thought the concept was pretty dope. I think Jaden's acting wasn't the best.
Yet it didn't stop them from trying again, and by the time Jaden hit adulthood, he'd been rapping, acting, releasing fashion lines, and granting interviews like this one to T Magazine, alongside his sister Willow, where Willow says, quote, "Time for me, I can make it go slow or fast however I please. That's how I know it doesn't exist. And I only read my own novels because I've been writing them since I was 6.
Yeah,
so he's pretty much arguing he's above time himself. If only there could be a bigger claim than that. In the same interview, Jaden said school is not authentic because it ends. It's not true, it's not real. The most revealing Jaden quote of all came in the 2022 interview with Big Bird TV. Asked how he was raised, Jaden said this.
I didn't know. I thought it was just that's how it was. I thought everybody's parents made movies, and I thought that everyone made movies with their kids.
He goes on.
And I go around sometimes and I hang out with other people that are my age, and they're just kind of just, yeah. Dude, like, oh my God, like, can we talk about like the political and economic state of the world right now? Can we talk about what's going on with the environment? Can we talk about other things?
This is what happens when you raise children entirely inside the celebrity bubble. They just float through their own holographic reality and no one can say a word because they're the children of two of the biggest stars on Earth. Jaden famously showed up to the Grammys wearing a literal castle on his head, a $4,600 piece designed by a Transylvanian self-described nobleman. In 2024, Christian Louboutin appointed him their first ever men's creative director, a role he has no qualifications or experience for in what's become a classic career arc for these kinds of Nepo babies. His sister Willow hasn't fared much better. Her debut novel, Black Shield Maiden, was marketed as her stepping up as a serious writer and advocate for marginalized voices, until readers noticed she'd written Muslims and the indigenous people of North Africa as dangerous on their best day, with little regard for anyone who doesn't worship the Muslim god, and always at war with one another. The person positioning herself as the champion of marginalized communities couldn't even...
Just weird ass kids. Weird. That's it. You give them everything they want, and this is what happens. That's why I think some struggle needs to be baked into the life of these kids. And I'm not saying like, oh, you got to figure out how to eat or stuff like that, but like, come on, you got to know there's some things that kids need to go through in order to be productive members of society. And rich kids are a perfect example of what happens when you remove all of the struggle and you only give them everything they want. Now, not all rich kids are like that.
Write about them with basic research or respect. And her response to criticism of anything ever is the same response Kim and Kendall and Victoria give. It's not me, it's you. Nepotism has been around for centuries, but the Nepo babies today bring it to a new level of ignorance, which has become clearer and clearer through their own doing.
There's too much, and there's a lot of nepotism too, it seems like, in that industry. Oh yeah. It's a lot of like, you see so many people get opportunities where you're like, man, did that person really, or were opportunities where their family was involved, you know?
And the Nepo babies themselves don't want to talk about this. When they're confronted about it, some of them try to deflect from the accusation. Emma Roberts, daughter of the actor Eric Roberts and the niece of superstar Julia Roberts, was quite defensive in this podcast appearance. She came in ready with a whole set of pre-planned excuses. The actor Ben Platt, son of the legitimate Hollywood producer Mark Platt, just flat out refused to answer when he was confronted. In an interview with Rolling Stone, he refused the question and had his publicist come in to redirect it. Gwyneth Paltrow called the term Nepo Baby an ugly moniker, while running a billion-dollar wellness brand built entirely on a name her mother gave her. Nobody wants to think they had nothing to do with their own success, so instead of acknowledging it, they greedily try to claim every win as their own hard work. It would be unfair to suggest every Nepo baby is a talentless prop. Some of them genuinely can do the job. Nicolas Cage is actually Nicholas Kim Coppola, the same Coppola as Francis Ford. He changed his name precisely to escape the shadow and built a career on sheer commitment to his craft. Patrick Schwarzenegger has been excellent in Gen V and The White Lotus. Even in sports, LeBron's son actually had to play basketball to get to the NBA.
Yeah, but you can't put LeBron in there because he did get him drafted. Like, he wasn't going to be drafted. He shouldn't even be playing in the NBA.
And Max Verstappen might be the most successful F1 driver of the modern era, despite his dad also being a racer. But these are the exceptions and increasingly rare ones. This isn't just a vanity project for the celebrities themselves. Hollywood has systemic reasons for wanting Nepo babies now too. Films have become enormously expensive to make. Studios put all of their eggs in a few baskets, hoping that the blockbusters will be too big to fail, and it's killed creativity in every direction. The prevalence of franchises, sequels, prequels, reboots, and spin-offs has been obvious for years, but they aren't going to take chances on unknown names for these massive hedged bets. So studios aren't just going to hire people without a famous name, and that's where the Nepo babies come in. Meanwhile, they're making far fewer mid-budget and low-budget films. Those used to be the way in, leading roles in smaller films that could launch a career if they did well. Today, those films barely exist, even fewer doors for anyone without a surname. So studios get more nervous, the names on the poster get more predictable, and the bet pays off less and less. Madam Web bombed, Red One bombed, The Watchers bombed, Joyride bombed. Audiences can tell when they're being sold a hereditary product. And you can't blame Nepo babies for trying these things or taking these deals with brands. Most people would do the same thing in their position. But the sheer fact that they are now taking an increasingly proportion of the opportunities away from regular people will eventually kill Hollywood. Without bravery and innovation and new people, it'll just go stale. It already has in lots of ways, and eventually people will just stop watching.
Yeah, I was gonna say it's Hollywood movies have been stale, and it's only going to get worse. I think we're going to move into a different age where even AI might be making movies a lot better than Hollywood does. Now, don't get me wrong, there's always going to be a level of creativity that I think AI can't replace.
And their attention to the online world, which may lack the budget that regular entertainment has, but offers far more opportunities for normal people. The very things pushing nepotism forward, like Hollywood's greed and risk aversion, will only increase as they get less income and attention from audiences. And while all of this is happening, Hollywood distracts you with something else. The industry has spent the last decade obsessing over other kinds of diversity. Endless speeches, campaigns, and identity politics lectures.
Getting out of touch,
the irony
exactly.
is thick. The same industry that lectures audiences about inclusion is more exclusive, more incestuous, and more aristocratic than at any point in its history. It distracts from the fact that it's a big club and you're not in it. Very few people from the outside are going to make it through. The club gets smaller and more exclusive as the dynasties keep intermarrying and keep breeding. Like any aristocracy, it's only going in one direction. Meanwhile, the disciples of these not so great houses are handed their own brand and image, spread across people's social media feeds and allowed to fail upwards indefinitely. The Paltrows, the Beckhams, the Smiths, the Kardashians, these are the new royal houses of entertainment, and their mediocre children will inherit the kingdom regardless of whether they can actually do the job. But the audience is catching on. People are turning off, tuning out, and moving online, where at least a regular person stands a chance of making something that connects with an audience on merit. YouTube, TikTok, Substack, podcasts, none of them care who your dad is. All dynasties collapse eventually, and they fall in roughly the same way, very slowly at first over the course of years and generations, and then suddenly all at once.
Yeah, exactly. That was a really good video. Moon makes really good videos. Go check him out on YouTube. But yeah, I mean, I got no more to say. He said it all. If you enjoyed the video, make sure you like, share, subscribe, and until next time.